In today's video, we're going to be diving into the upcoming pattern. As always, really just diving into these upcoming major storms that we have across the south, central, southeast, mid-Atlantic, the northeast, Ohio Valley, into some of the Great Lakes as well. We're looking at kind of the peak, I think, and we're actually seeing kind of the finally downturn of this storm that's been ongoing and eventually going to be ending. It's still upcoming for many days, but we do see an end in sight, thankfully. So we're going to update you on all of these things. Also, we've been watching the tropics every single day here on the channel. I was looking before I recorded this video, and I do see a little bit more oomph to it, if that makes sense, out there in the main development region than we've seen in previous runs, and I think that is definitely something to discuss today. So let's dive into things, and let's take a look at it. Let's start out tomorrow afternoon on Monday, July 22nd. And what we see is up and down this East Coast area from the South Central Gulf Coast up the East Coast, we see tons and tons of thunderstorms and showers ongoing for all of these areas. And this is the areas that we're seeing flooding in some spots. It just depends on if you get hit or not, because they are spotty. They are missing some folks and really slamming others. So it just depends. But we have seen rain for a few weeks in these areas. A lot of droughts were present in some of these spots as well, and they have basically eradicated in certain areas of those droughts. So very interesting as well seeing that. There is some thunderstorms happening across the northern plains and the upper Midwest as well. Let's take a look here at Tuesday on July 23rd. And what we see is that, again, the entire Gulf and East Coasts are dealing with thunderstorms for these areas up and down the East Coast as well. Really, really active. We also see the upper Midwest and northern plains dealing with some of these thunderstorms. Let's take a look at Wednesday on July 24th, and we see a lot of the same. So really still seeing this for multiple days, like we mentioned. Even though the end is still in sight, we do see a lot of thunderstorms for multiple days before that end is finally achieved. We see Texas through Louisiana, Arkansas, up that kind of southeast coast again, still dealing with this. We do have kind of what looks like a separate storm system up here to the north that is touching, but it is different. Midwest here, Great Lakes, some of the Ohio Valley, into the Mid-Atlantic and the Northeast here. It's where we're seeing a majority of that activity up there in the north. By the time we reach Thursday on the 25th, this is kind of the beginning of the end here. So Thursday on the 25th, about 4 days from now, we do see that this is really being suppressed further and further south and east here. We do still have some of these thunderstorms associated with that more northern system, mostly located up here in Canada. But this is just going to really travel further and further southeast over the coming days after this point. So let's just keep watching. That's Thursday. Here's Friday on the 26th, and we see it even further south by this point. For these areas, we do also have some thunderstorms and showers present for some of the Rockies as well. We've talked about this in previous videos, but this is kind of something that we've seen pop up on these models a little bit. So definitely something to think about. Let's take a look at Saturday here on the 27th, and we do have a little bit more scattered and isolated activity here in the deeper south. Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, South Carolina, and North Carolina. We are dealing with a lot of isolated and scattered activity as opposed to a little bit more widespread. Let's take a look here at Sunday on the 28th, and look at this, almost fully eradicated. I mean, there is some pockets of thunderstorms in these areas, but it's not anything like it was. This is very on par with what you expect to typically see for this time of year. I mean, this is nothing out of the ordinary. Let's take this towards Monday here on the 29th. And again, there is the passing thunderstorm or shower through this area. It's just a lot different than things were. Also for the plains and Midwest, we're seeing some as well up here for states like the Dakotas and into the Midwest and northern Great Lakes, like the UP of Michigan in particular. Let's take a look at Tuesday here on the 30th. And again, a passing shower or thunderstorm here for the upper Midwest, Great Lakes, or perhaps eastern Canada here. We do see that a lot of the south, like Texas and into some of the Gulf states, is seeing some of this as well. Even maybe I would say a quite quiet pattern here after this very active one is said and done, which is interesting for around the 30th time frame. So maybe ending July on a very, very quiet note here. We do see some thunderstorms up and down these Great Lakes, Ohio Valley, down through the deep south areas as well. Let's take a look here at our total precipitation, and again, a little bit receded, nothing crazy. We still see very large amounts still expected, but the majority of this, we're basically reaching a point where we are seeing the numbers decrease because a lot of it is behind us at this point. So Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi, Tennessee, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, South Carolina, North Carolina, Kentucky, Virginia. We still expect a lot in these states, but this was looking worse a few days ago. We do see a lot for the upper Midwest and Great Lakes still, and some of the Northeast as well here. And as we take a look at the anomalies, we do see drier than normal conditions expected for some of your plains and in through the Northwest here. So this is your primary dry area. Also, some of the Ohio Valley into the interior Mid-Atlantic and Northeast, a little bit drier through this pocket. A little bit wetter here for the upper Midwest and some of the northern Great Lakes, like the UP of Michigan, again, like we said. And then we do expect above average amounts still for this area along Texas and through the Gulf areas and into the Southeast and even some of the Mid-Atlantic. So that is still expected, but we used to have a blue band just reaching all the way into the Carolinas. That is receding slightly over the next 15 days. Time will tell, but this is starting to slow down, indicating to me, like I've mentioned a few times in this video, that we are seeing a lot of it behind us at this point. As we move on to the tropics, again, this is just a little bit more amped than we've been seeing over the course of a couple of model runs that we've watched. And we see a couple of waves come through before hours 240, but this one really makes it through into the Eastern Caribbean here, as you can see. It's nothing crazy. It's just a trend in the wrong direction here, where we do have a wave really making it into the Caribbean. Some activity here in the Southern Caribbean as well. Could see some homegrown systems come out of here, like we've seen even this year. And more waves on the way coming off of Africa. Definitely something to watch. Let's continue to move forward. We see that this wave that was here kind of moves up into the kind of almost heading towards the Bahamas area. The rest of these move pretty far south, as you can see, so only time would be able to really tell. But this one looks like it wants to move into the southeastern Caribbean, I'd call it. And then this one is now kind of in the southern Caribbean near Jamaica. Could try to move towards the Gulf. Really hard to say, and this is very far out. But look, we even have more waves on the way off of Africa. So yeah, we're really obviously we've seen some very interesting things in the hurricane season, but we're not even supposed to really be getting started yet. Really, there's a whole lot on the way in this department. Now for the temperatures, things have been nice and cool compared to normal, you've probably noticed. But we do see a warming trend, especially as we reach around the 30th timeframe of July. Finally, some warmer air for a lot of the central and eastern states. There is some cooler air still for further south areas where we're seeing a lot of your storms move through. So that is still a thing. And the west is cooling down now, which is what's drawing this warm air eastward. So this is a lot of the why this is happening. And then as we keep going, we see that that really just becomes kind of a coast-to-coast warmth, which is a little bit rare. I would expect to see more cold than this is showing. There's probably just some disagreement between these ensemble models. There's 30 of them, by the way. We're taking the mean average of it here. So there's probably some disagreement in here. Once we reach the actual 5th of August, expect to see a little bit more cold in this on one or the other side of the nation here. We just don't know yet which one. Storm Prediction Center outlook looking a little bit quiet over the next 3 days, but very widespread with the quieter activity, if that makes sense. We have a very large general thunderstorm risk area in the lighter greens here today on Sunday, July 21st. And this is where we expect general thunderstorms, but anything is possible, so heed every watch, warning, and advisory as always. In the two darker green areas for the four corner states, we do have a level 1 marginal risk, and that is where we expect some isolated severe weather to be possible. And then we do actually have a slight risk there for Arizona, where we do expect some scattered about severe weather to be pretty active in there. For tomorrow on Monday, July 22nd, we only have a general thunderstorm risk area. But again, heed every watch, warning, and advisory. Things do happen, and this doesn't mean there won't be any severe weather, as that sometimes does still bring severe weather in these cases. So we're still going to be on the lookout for some activity, of course. And same thing for day 3 on Tuesday, July 23rd. A very, very large general thunderstorm risk area, but nothing more. But still, things could happen. Please pay attention. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. That is it for this one. You be sure to subscribe, as we do upload every single day. You can even hit the bell icon for daily notifications when we upload, so you never miss one. Be sure to like the video if you did enjoy it. Leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.